Stop right where you are. Don't scroll. Close the door if you have to. Because what you're about to hear in the next few minutes isn't for people who are still wondering if God is watching. This is for the person who lost something real, something that should never have been taken. And at some point, you started accepting that loss is final because continuing to ask for it back felt like wishful thinking. This video has an expiration date. There is a window open right now that won't be open the same way tomorrow. If you recognize at least 3 of the 5 signs I'm going to show you, you'll understand exactly why you ended up here. You lost something you shouldn't have. Not as a result of a clear mistake, but as a result of pure injustice. An opportunity that slipped away at the worst possible time. A relationship that ended without a fair reason. Your health was stolen. Money went out and never came back. You know exactly what it is. You've prayed for its return, more than once, with faith, with promises, and it didn't come back. Eventually, you stopped asking and started coping because holding on felt naive. You've heard people say, God has a purpose in this loss, and you tried to believe them. But deep down, a part of you couldn't understand why God's purpose required that specific sacrifice. You guard this loss more carefully than others. Not because you're stuck in the past, but because it mattered in a way you can't fully explain to anyone who hasn't walked in your shoes. It's not an obsession. It's not a lack of forgiveness. It's that space between the honest memory of a real loss and the faith that hasn't seen the physical return yet. Before we're done, you're going to have 3 things. First, the Hebrew name of the law being executed on your behalf and why it guarantees a return with a surplus, not just a refund. Second, a 3-step protocol to position yourself as a receiver of the Shillem. The law has been activated, but receiving it requires a specific posture. Third, a declaration that replaces asking with possessing. The difference between praying for a return and declaring the decree of Shillem. If you feel the weight of what I'm describing, stay until the end. The closing protocol has a specific declaration for every type of loss. Do not skip. There is a 21-day process that works specifically on the blocks preventing the Shillem from manifesting. Because the decree can be active while the receiver's channel is still clogged. I'll show you that in a bit. Keep it in the back of your mind. And if you have to leave early, that protocol is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment below. But stay until the end, because without the context I'm about to give you, the cycles won't have the same power over your home. Close your eyes for a second, or at least look away from the screen. Don't analyze, don't defend, just let this land. I'm going to describe 5 things. If I'm right about at least 3 of them, you and I both know why you're here. The first sign. You've been thinking about this loss more frequently lately. Not out of obsession. A memory just keeps popping up. A name mentioned in passing. A dream. You tried to ignore it, but it kept coming back. Not in an oppressive way, but an insistent one. As if something were trying to pull that thing back to the surface of your attention. This isn't a coincidence. It's the Shillem approaching and creating a resonance with what was lost. When restitution is in motion, it always sends a signal before it arrives, and the first signal is the memory that returns without you calling for it. The second sign. You've felt a positive restlessness. It's different from anxiety. It's different from sadness. It's a kind of anticipation that doesn't have a clear object yet. Something is coming. You don't know what, but you feel it arriving. It's not hype. It's not excitement. It's a quiet certainty that something is drawing near. You can't name it, but you recognize the vibe. It's the Shillem generating expectation in the receiver before it manifests. The spirit always feels it before the mind understands it. The third sign. Someone mentioned something related to your loss. Not the loss itself, but something adjacent. A conversation at work, a news story, a reference, something that made you think about it again. You haven't told anyone, but the mention arrived anyway. as if someone touched on the subject without knowing it was exactly your subject. The Shillem always announces itself. One of the ways it does that is through mentions that arrive through channels you didn't plan. 2 of the 5 signs I'm presenting now are the exact markers of someone in the approach phase of the Shillem. Recognize yours. The 4th sign. You had a thought that maybe it's worth trying again, on something you had decided to walk away from. Not a decision yet, just a thought, a consideration, a maybe. You haven't acted, but the thought came and stayed. This is the Shillem preparing the receiving channel. Because what is coming back needs to find an open door. The door starts to open when the decision to accept the loss as final starts to be questioned from the inside out. The 5th sign. You are here, watching this message about the return. Not by accident, not because you were looking for it. You were scrolling and you stopped, or someone sent it to you, or the title grabbed you. You can't explain why you clicked, but you're here. And the title said, everything you lost is coming back. God said with interest this time. You are here because the Shillem in execution guides the receiver into position before the arrival. You are being positioned right now. Stop for a second. How many of those hit home? 3, 4, all 5? If at least 3 resonated as recognition rather than coincidence, you know this message didn't find you by chance. Go down to the comments right now and write what you lost. Not the full name if you don't want to. 1 word, an initial. Whatever represents what needs to come back. Declare the object of the Shillem. Because what is declared in public carries a different authority than what is only thought in silence. And if you recognized at least 3 signs, the full 21-day protocol is in the first pinned comment. Move your thumb there. Don't click yet. Just look at it and acknowledge it's there. Now I'm going to show you the word that changes everything. Most people know the word Shalom. Peace, harmony, inner tranquility. When you prayed asking for peace, you were asking for Shalom, right? Wrong. Shalom doesn't just mean inner peace, and the cost of not knowing that has been high. You prayed for Shalom. You asked for peace, and what you received was acceptance. You asked to accept the loss quietly. You didn't know you were using the wrong word, because Shalom isn't the word for the return. Shalom is the word for wholeness. And wholeness isn't a feeling. It's a state, a complete state, a restored state. And the active verb form of Shalom isn't to be peaceful. It is to make whole what was broken. The root of Shalom is Shalam. And Shalam in biblical Hebrew doesn't mean feeling peaceful. It means to restore completely, to compensate with a surplus. Shillem is the intensive and causative form of Shalam. It is the biblical legal term for reparation of damages. When a thief was caught in the Old Testament, the law of Exodus 22 demanded Shillem, double restitution, sometimes 5-fold. What was stolen didn't come back in its original size. It came back with interest. Shalom isn't just peace. Shalom is wholeness restored. Materially, relationally, financially, structurally, with interest. What was taken from you isn't going to come back the way it left. It's coming back with Shillem. You spent too much time asking for peace to accept the loss. God didn't ask you to accept it. He asked you to know that He is the executor of the Shillem, and that what was stolen, lost, or destroyed will be restored beyond its original state. You aren't waiting for a return. You are in the process of the Shillem, and Shillem isn't an emotional promise. It is a legal decree with guaranteed execution. Let me show you this in 2 stories. Job. You know the story. He lost his children, his health, his property, his social standing, all at once. What most people miss is that Job didn't accept the loss as God's permanent will. He kept the case open before God. He didn't settle. He questioned. He demanded an answer. And in the end, the Shillem arrived. It wasn't an equal restoration. It was double in everything material. new children, restored health, more years than he had lived before the loss. Job's return was Shillem, with interest, not just a balance. Now, a story outside the Bible. When a bank denies a loan by mistake and you prove the error was theirs, the restitution isn't just the original amount. There is an adjustment, an update, sometimes compensation for damages. The system of restitution doesn't work based on the value at the date of loss. It works based on the value at the date of the return, with all the accumulated interest. Two different paths to the same point. You didn't miss the moment. You were being brought to it through the only path that led here. Let me stop for a full minute and put everything into simple words. No poetry, no metaphors, just the facts of what you know now that you didn't know when this started. First fact, the law of Shillem in Exodus established a minimum restitution of double value, reaching up to 5 times in specific cases. Second fact, this law isn't just a moral principle. It is a judicial structure that operates in the spiritual dimension. Third fact, what was taken from you didn't leave without a record, and that record is the basis for the decree of Shillem. And here is who you are in the middle of all this. First identity, the claimant of real loss. You lost something of real value, not imagined, not exaggerated. Keeping the case open before God wasn't a lack of faith. It was confidence in the justice of the Shillem. This positions you as a legitimate creditor. This identity authorizes you to refuse premature acceptance. You have the right not to settle until the Shillem manifests. The loss was real. The record was made. The decree was issued. You aren't asking for something new. You are collecting something owed. Second identity, the recipient of the restitution decree. The decree has been issued. You are in the process of receiving. The Shillem is in motion. Being a recipient isn't passivity. It is keeping the channel open without letting the acceptance of the loss cancel the decree of return. This identity authorizes you to stop asking and start receiving. You don't need to convince God the loss was unfair anymore. He already knows. The decree has been issued. Your only job now is to keep the channel clear so the Shillem can arrive without obstruction. Third identity, the heir of the overflow. What returns to you will not arrive in the size of the loss. It will arrive with the added value of the time it was withheld. Your mission is not to shrink your expectation to the size of what went missing. The Shillem is always larger than the loss. This identity authorizes you to imagine the return at its true size, not the size of the loss, the size of the decree, with all the interest accumulated during the wait. Which of these 3 identities was harder to believe before today? Write it in the comments, not as a moment of hype, but as a signature of positioning. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, not as a favor to me, but because the next message prepared for you needs a path to find you without resistance. Turn on the notifications too. Now I'm going to give you the 3-step protocol. You can do this tonight before you go to sleep. The Shillem protocol, from request to decree. Step 1, name the loss with precision. What was taken? When? How? Use real names. Don't minimize it. Don't soften it. Don't spiritualize it before it's time. If it was money, say how much. If it was a relationship, say who. If it was health, say the diagnosis. If it was an opportunity, say which one. Call it by its name, because Shillem operates on named objects, not vague feelings. Step 2, convert the request into a decree. Not Lord, please give it back, but the Shillem is in execution. What was taken returns with interest. I received the decree as law, not as a wish. You aren't asking again. You are declaring what has already been decreed. The difference between asking and decreeing is the difference between applying for something and receiving it. Step 3, declare the size of the return, not the size of the loss, the size of the Shillem. What returns will be greater than what left. I am positioned to receive in the measure of the return, not the measure of the loss. You will know you've finished when you feel a specific relief regarding that loss. Not a resolution, but relief, as if the weight of keeping the case open has been transferred from your effort to the system of the Shillem. You don't have to carry the case anymore. The law carries it. What comes next requires the channel to be open. The cleansing cycle does that. First pinned comment. It was searching for answers to this that I found the Miracle Journal. 21 days to unlock the blessings held back in your life. It's a 3-cycle protocol: breaking, cleansing, possession. The breaking cycle identifies and dissolves the patterns that keep the receiving channel closed. Premature acceptance, bitterness, the belief that you don't deserve a return. The cleansing cycle removes the spiritual residue of the loss that still connects you to the old circumstance. The possession cycle positions you as a receiver of the Shillem, not just someone hoping for a return. 21 days. It comes with 2 bonuses. The prayer guide, 15 prayers for specific moments, including the Shillem prayer and the decree of restitution for when the pain is too big to improvise, and the Psalm manual, 10 Psalms with meditations and declarations of return. To be opened first thing in the morning, it comes with a 7-day guarantee. You keep the bonuses even if you ask for a refund. It costs less than a Starbucks run, less than a Friday night pizza with the family, less than a happy meal on a Saturday. Hesitation to receive is the blockage asking to stay. Consider 3 people who were exactly where you are. A woman, 50 years old. Tuesday. She had lost her business and accepted it as God's will for 3 years. On day 8 of the protocol, she got a call with a proposal that reopened the exact opportunity that had closed, under better conditions. She recognized the 3rd sign. Someone had mentioned something related to her lost days before she started. A man, 38 years old. Sunday. He had lost contact with his son after a divorce. On day 13, his son reached out on his own initiative without the man taking any external action. He recognized the 2nd sign, that positive restlessness with no clear cause. A woman, 44 years old. Friday. She had lost her health, a chronic diagnosis. She had settled into it. On day 5 of the protocol, she received an unsolicited referral to a specialist who completely overturned the previous diagnosis. She recognized the 1st sign, the memory returning more frequently, the cost of not acting today. The decree of Shillem is active, but the channel is still closed by your acceptance of the loss. Every week that passes is more time with the door shut while the Shillem waits. Every year that passes, your children inherit not a return with interest, but a pattern of accepting loss as final. The risk is on us. The only risk left is not testing it. The 3 identities you assumed. The journal works on the layers that prevent the receiver identity from manifesting before the Shillem arrives. It's in the first pinned comment. Click now. But don't leave yet. The sealing isn't finished. What I need to show you next is bigger than any protocol. It's the exact name of what is happening to you right now, the moment you start operating in what you just received. And this will happen in the next 72 hours. 3 specific things will be launched against you. Not as a possibility, but as a certainty. The first tactic: high-definition memories of the loss. The memory of the exact moment the loss happened will return. In detail. The sound, the smell, the color, the texture. It's as if the enemy wants to update the file to confirm it was real, it was final, and there is no coming back. Your weapon against this: let the memory pass. Don't try to block it. Don't try to spiritualize it. Just recognize it. This is the tactic. It's not a sign the Shillem isn't active. It's a sign it is so active the enemy has to convince you otherwise before you receive it. The second tactic: the rationalization of conformity. A reasonable voice will come saying that what you lost was meant to be, that there is peace in letting go, that seeking a return is just attachment, It will feel like spiritual maturity. It will sound like wisdom. Your weapon against this. Say it out loud. Shillem. The law of restitution is above my acceptance. I do not accept unfair loss as the final word. I accept the decree of return as enforceable law. The third tactic, the false sign of return. Something that looks like the start of the Shillem will appear, but it won't be what it seemed. An opportunity that closes. A conversation that goes nowhere. A door that looked open but was locked. It will try to generate enough disappointment to make you close the channel right before the real Shillem arrives. Your weapon against this. Don't confuse the false sign with the denial of the decree. The false sign always comes before the real one. It's a test of loyalty to the decree when the circumstances don't confirm it yet. And there is a fourth enemy, more dangerous, your own voice disguised as maturity. But what if I'm asking for something that isn't God's will? Recognize it. That question always arrives with humility. It sounds pious. It sounds wise. But Shillem is a law, not a request. You aren't asking for your will, you are receiving a decreed restitution. That voice isn't spiritual honesty. It's a survival mechanism, a system that learned to devalue the experience before being devalued by it. The problem isn't that you've had moments like this before. It's that before, you went through them without a protocol of custody. What wasn't sealed was diluted. When that voice appears, and it will appear on the second or third day after this video, say it out loud, Shillem, and let the voice pass. If during the protocol you feel that the loss was too big for the Shillem to cover, the journal has a specific declaration for that belief. First pinned comment. Now close your eyes. Place your hands open and facing upward in front of you. The position of a receiver, not a beggar. What begins now isn't for your mind to process. It's for your spirit to receive. I release you from the premature acceptance of loss. Settling too early wasn't faith. It was closing the channel. Say it out loud. I let go. Again. A third time. I release you from the belief that what left would never return. Say it out loud. I let go. Again. A third time. I release you from every prayer that ended in conformity instead of a decree. No guilt. No weight. Say it out loud. I let go. Again. A third time. I release you from the shrunken size of the return you allowed yourself to imagine. The Shillem is not the size of your imagination. It is the size of the law. Say it out loud. I let go. Again. A third time. I release you from the loss itself. Not as an erasure, but as a handover to the Shillem system. You let go with your hands, and what you let go of now returns with interest. Say it out loud. I let go. Again. A third time. I call forth the claimant of real loss. You lost something of real value. Keeping the case open wasn't a lack of faith. It was confidence in the justice of the Shillem. You are a legitimate creditor. What was taken will be restored. I call forth the recipient of the restitution decree. The decree has been issued. The Shillem is in motion. You don't need to ask anymore. You need to keep the channel open and receive. I call forth the heir of the overflow. What returns doesn't arrive in the size of the loss. It arrives with the interest of the time withheld. You do not shrink your expectation. You expand your faith to the size of the decree. Now listen to the Father's voice. I saw you when you prayed for the last time for that thing that didn't come back. And you stopped asking because it felt like wishful thinking. I was not absent. I was issuing the decree. I recorded every loss. None left without leaving a record of Shillem. The decree is active. It was not cancelled by your acceptance, because I knew that acceptance was premature. Position your hands. What left returns, with what accumulated during the wait. I do not promise it returns tomorrow. I decree it returns with Shillem. and the Shillem always arrives larger than the loss. You are not just the one who lost. You are the one who will receive restitution. And when it arrives, you will remember this word, and you will know it wasn't luck. It was law. I cover your mind against the memory that returns in high definition to convince you the decree isn't active. I cover your relationships against the voice that will try to convince you that accepting loss is maturity. I cover your timing against the false sign that will try to close the channel before the real Shillem arrives. I cover the area of your specific loss. What was taken is recorded. The Shillem is in execution. The return is a matter of processing time, not a doubt of the decree. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent, you are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Don't say amen yet. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. The anointing has been confirmed in heaven. Now it must survive the next moment of testing, the next thought that the loss was too big. The next voice that says, seeking a return, is attachment. He who is commissioned without full cover walks in an open field. The miracle journal is in the first pinned comment, not as a substitute for what you received here, but as a companion to defend what has been sealed. Costs less than a morning coffee, with a 7-day guarantee. The risk is ours. The move is yours. Click now while the decree is still alive in your chest. Not tomorrow. Not after your shower. Not after talking to someone else. Because the first person you talk to will have a reasonable opinion that will cost your household the protocol. He who leaves it for later leaves it for never. That voice whispering right now. See it later. Decide tomorrow. Now isn't the time. You've already spent enough this week. You need to think it over. That voice isn't yours. It sounds like you. It uses your vocabulary. It knows your excuses. But it is the voice of what tries to keep the blessings withheld before your next step of victory. Click. First pinned comment. Now. Now, yes. Amen. Don't leave yet. Go down to the comments and write what is coming back. Not what you lost. What is coming back? Use the name of the restored form, not the lost form. Like someone signing something they intend to honor tomorrow morning, when the message is just a memory, and what you did with it is the only testimony that remains. There is a person who lost something real and no longer believes in the return. A specific person. Send this video to them before you sleep. Maybe their Shillem needs to arrive through your hand. Someday they will remember it was you who sent it when they needed it most. In the next video, how to recognize when the Shillem is arriving, the signs that precede the return, and how not to close the channel at the last minute for lack of preparation. Click the video on your screen right now. It was aligned to find you exactly after this one. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. You are not the same person you were when this started. Sit with that gravity for just a moment longer.